Good afternoon, everyone. Um, Silence, not the peaceful kind, the loaded kind, the kind that has a heartbeat in it, the kind that breathes, that watches, that waits. There is someone in your orbit right now who has gone very quiet. And that quiet is not indifference. That quiet is the specific stillness of a person who is holding something they don't yet know what to do with, something that arrived in them without an invitation, without a plan, without their permission, and now it's just there, sitting in their chest, heavy and inconvenient and impossible to put down. Stay with me, because what I'm reading around your energy right now has a texture I want to describe carefully. Drop a comment if you already know exactly who I'm talking about, because I want to start with the watching, not the surveillance kind, not the obsessive, unhealthy kind that needs to be named and addressed as a problem. The other kind, the kind that happens when someone finds themselves paying attention to you, in a way they didn't choose and can't quite stop. The kind where they notice things, small things, the specific way you phrase something when you're thinking out loud, the way your energy shifts when you walk into a space, the way you handle something difficult with a quality of composure that they find themselves thinking about later when they're alone and the day has gone quiet. That kind of watching, the kind that happens because something in them has been activated and they don't fully understand what it is yet. Have you felt eyes on you recently in a way that doesn't feel accidental? A presence that lingers even when the room has moved on? Tell me in the comments, because here is what I want to name about that energy. When someone watches you in silence, when they hold their attention on you without announcing it, it is almost never because nothing is happening. It is almost always because too much is happening, because what they're feeling is moving faster than their ability to process it, because the thing that has started in them that doesn't fit neatly into any category they were prepared for. And so they go quiet, they observe, they try to understand what is happening in themselves by watching what is happening in you. Like you are somehow the key to decoding their own interior. That is a very specific kind of attention, and it doesn't happen casually. It doesn't happen with people who mean nothing. It happens with people who have landed somewhere real, somewhere that cannot be easily unfelt. Can you feel the weight of being that for someone right now? Drop a comment if this is resonating somewhere specific. Now, let me talk about the desire, because it is in the title and it deserves to be addressed honestly without romanticizing it into something soft and safe, and without making it into something threatening or uncomfortable. Just honestly, what I'm reading in the energy around this person is a wanting that surprised them, not a surface wanting, not the ordinary kind that passes with distraction or time or the arrival of something new to focus on, the kind that persists, the kind that shows up in the in-between moments when they're driving somewhere routine, when they wake up before the alarm, when a song comes on that has nothing to do with you and somehow ends up being entirely about you anyway. That kind of wanting has a different quality than casual attraction. It has depth, it has roots, it has the specific texture of something that has moved past the surface of a person and found somewhere to anchor, and the probability that this is what is currently living in someone connected to your reality is what I keep returning to in your field. Does knowing that something this rooted exists in someone's experience of you, does that land as surprising, or does some part of you already know? Tell me in the comments, because I want to address something important now. The unplanned move, because that phrase is the most telling part of this entire reading. Planned moves are easy to dismiss. Calculated approaches can be rationalized away. Strategic gestures can be received with appropriate distance. But an unplanned move is something else entirely. An unplanned move is what happens when feeling overrides strategy. When something in a person gets too full to be managed anymore. When the careful container they've been maintaining around what they feel develops a crack, and what has been held inside and starts moving toward the surface on its own, not because they decided to let it, but because it decided to move. And that distinction between a move that was planned and a move that wasn't is everything. Because unplanned moves are the honest ones. They are the ones that reveal what is actually there underneath the composure and the silence and the careful watching. They are the moments where a person stops managing their feelings and their feelings start managing them. And the probability that you are about to be on the receiving end of exactly that kind of moment is something I feel clearly in the field around you right now. Can you feel the build of that? The pressure of something that has been contained approaching the point where containment is no longer possible. Drop a comment if you can sense that building. Now I want to slow down here because I don't want to move through this too quickly. I want to sit in the specific experience of what it feels like to be someone who is being held in another person's attention this completely without them having said a word about it. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? There's something warming about it, something that touches a deep and genuine human need to be seen, to matter to someone, to exist in another person's interior as something significant. But there's also something unsettling about it, the asymmetry of it, the fact that something this significant is happening, and it's happening in silence, in the space between you, in the invisible place where feelings live before they become words, and you're left navigating your ordinary life with this thing in the air that hasn't been named yet, that hasn't been confirmed, that you can sense but not quite touch. That specific experience of knowing something without having evidence you're allowed to claim is its own kind of weight. Have you been carrying that weight? That particular uncertainty of sensing something real that hasn't been made visible yet? Tell me in the comments, let me talk about why they haven't moved yet. Because that question is probably somewhere in the back of your mind. If this is real, if what I'm describing is actually there, why the silence? Why the watching without speaking? Why the feeling without the move? And the answer is almost always the same. Not indifference, not absence of feeling, the opposite of indifference. When something matters too much, it becomes frightening to reach for, because the stakes are high, because a move that doesn't land the way they hope changes things permanently, because once words exist between two people, they cannot be taken back. And standing at the edge of saying something that has the potential to restructure everything is terrifying. Even for people who are not generally afraid, even for people who have navigated harder things than this, even for someone who knows on some level that what they feel is real, the knowing doesn't dissolve the fear, it coexists with it, and in that coexistence, the silence continues until it can't, until something shifts the internal balance from fear is louder to feeling is louder. And the probability that something in your current dynamic is already nudging that balance is precisely what this reading is pointing at. Can you feel the nearness of that tipping point? Drop a comment if you sense it, because I want to address you directly now. Not the situation, not the other person, you. Because there's something I want to ask you honestly. How are you holding this? The sensing of being watched, the awareness of something unspoken moving in your direction, the anticipation of a move that hasn't happened yet but feels inevitable. How is that living in your body right now? Because I think for some of you, it's exciting. And for others, it's exhausting. And for most of you, it's both simultaneously. The excitement of something real approaching and the exhaustion of waiting for it to arrive, of not knowing when, of not being able to control the timeline, of having to stay present in your regular life while this thing hums underneath everything. That dual experience, it's valid, both parts of it. You don't have to choose between being excited and being tired. You're allowed to be both fully at the same time. Tell me in the comments which one is louder right now, the excitement or the exhaustion. Now, let me talk about the move, the one that wasn't planned, the one that is building in this person, whether they intended it or not. What does that move probably look like? And I want to be honest here, it probably doesn't look like a grand gesture. It probably doesn't announce itself dramatically. The unplanned moves, the real ones, the honest ones, they tend to arrive quietly in a moment that seems ordinary from the outside. A conversation that starts about something else entirely. A message sent at an hour when defenses are lower. A look held a beat too long that suddenly makes everything visible. A sentence that begins as one thing and ends as another. Something small that contains everything. That is probably what is coming, not a production, a moment, a real human, imperfect, honest moment where what has been living in silence, finally finds its way into the air between you. And when it does, you will know immediately, because your body will register it before your mind has processed it. That warmth in the chest, that specific quality of recognition. Oh, so it was real. So I wasn't imagining it. So it was there all along. Breathe. Can you let yourself believe in the probability of that moment without demanding it arrive on your schedule, without collapsing the possibility by needing certainty before you can stay open? Drop a comment if you're practicing that kind of open waiting, because here is where I want to leave you, grounded, real, in the actual texture of where you are. You are someone who is being held in another person's awareness with a depth and a specificity that is not accidental. You are someone whose presence has created something in another person that they did not plan for and cannot easily put down. You are someone who is approaching a moment, not a guaranteed moment, not a promised moment, but a probable moment, where the silence breaks, where the watching becomes speaking, where the unplanned move finally makes itself. And the question is not whether you deserve that moment. That is not in question. The question is whether you are present enough to receive it when it comes, whether you are open enough, grounded enough, real enough in yourself to meet it without performing, without managing, without immediately protecting yourself from the full weight of what it means. Can you practice being that available, not to them, to the moment itself, to the real thing that is already in motion towards you, because it is in motion quietly, deliberately, in the specific way that unplanned things move, not in straight lines, not on predictable timelines, but with a kind of inevitability that has nothing to do with force and everything to do with truth. Stay open, stay present, stay exactly where you are, because where you are is exactly where this is heading. I don't sell futures, I build architects. No predictions, just the raw truth for the tough ones. Stay magic, stay in the now.